AI detectors are creating a trust problem that brand content cannot outrun with polish alone. What? The Verge reported about GPT-0 and the new trust problem. A percentage can walk into a room dressed as proof. The Verge reported that GPT-0 scores were being used by schools to question whether people had written their responses. Own work. Employers and publishers did the same. Its AI and artificial intelligence reporting shows how quickly a prediction about writing patterns can become a judgment about a person. GPT-0 estimates whether text resembles patterns associated with AI-generated writing. That estimate doesn't identify an author. It doesn't reveal how the work was produced, or confirm whether the claim about the product is true. A precise-looking percentage can still feel authoritative, even when it rests on uncertain evidence. A detector can raise suspicion. That creates a real problem for e-commerce teams. A shopper researching a merino wool sweater might paste an education article into GPT-0 and get a warning, even if a staff writer interviewed the mill, checked the fiber details, and revised the copy with help from customer support. The score can make the shopper question the brand before the brand gets a chance to explain its work. Polished writing can make the gap wider. It can remove signs of first-hand knowledge. Quality materials make every purchase better sounds agreeable, but it gives the reader nothing to verify. Naming the mill, stating the sweater's micron range, and explaining where the care advice came from gives the buyer something far more useful than a smooth tone. The practical response is to preserve the trail behind the copy. Keep interview notes, supplier documents, testing records, revision history, plus the responsible editor's name in the team's working files. Publish selected evidence when it helps a customer judge a claim, such as a mill interview attached to a merino guide or a test method linked from a warmth comparison. In the audits we run, a detector score rarely creates the entire problem. It usually gives an existing doubt a number to point at. When a store has no visible author or source detail, that number can spread across related pages, including the product description and buying guide. Review pages that make factual promises before reviewing pages that merely sound polished. Buyers need a clear path from the claim to the person behind it and the document or process that supports it. For brand teams, the useful lesson is that authorship records belong in content operations workflows, and product evidence should be easy to inspect. By Christopher S. Penn, marketing technologist and author. Why an uncertain score changes how people judge a brand. Detection and verification answer different questions. A detector estimates whether wording resembles generated text, but a buyer wants something else entirely. Whether a product claim has support and whether someone at the company accepts responsibility for it. Readers trust evidence they can inspect more than a score they can't interpret. Consider a direct-to-consumer backpack store claiming that its recycled nylon comes from post-consumer waste. A shopper sees an AI warning, then they look for a supplier name and a testing record. If the store provides none of those things, the warning becomes part of a wider credibility gap. The missing detail matters more than the smooth wording. A materials page could identify the recycled content certification, explain which component it covers, and state whether the claim applies to the lining or the full bag. Those details let a buyer compare the statement with something outside the brand's own adjectives. The Stanford researchers who published the Stanford paper on detector bias against non-native English writers documented another danger. A system may flag certain writing patterns more often because of language use rather than the actual history of the work. That makes a probability score a poor substitute for authorship records. The weakness changes the review process. If a detector flags a backpack guide, the editor should inspect the recycled nylon claim. Open the supplier folder and confirm that the wording matches the documentation. Rewriting sentences to lower the score leaves the buyer's real concern untouched. Suspicion often begins with one vague sentence and spreads because the store offers no visible author or operating detail. We choose premium recycled materials invites a challenge. Naming the standard and explaining where the material appears in the shoulder straps gives the reader a concrete line of inquiry. Brand trust improves when content exposes its working parts. Add a named reviewer to technical guides. Attach source notes to performance claims and explain where a material statement applies. The goal is a page that can withstand inspection from a skeptical shopper who has never heard of a detector. For e-commerce teams, the distinction is simple. What the detector signals, what the store must show. Wording resembles generated text. Who reviewed the claim and how the copy was produced. A probability score appears uncertain. Documents or testing that support the product statement. A score can change a shopper's attitude in seconds. Evidence gives that shopper a reason to keep evaluating the purchase. What AI detectors can and cannot establish. An AI detector can flag stylistic patterns, but it can't establish the writer's identity, editorial approval, the research process, or factual accuracy. Short answer. That limit should guide internal reviews. It should also shape any explanation a marketing team gives to a customer. An AI detector cannot verify a product claim or identify the author. OpenAI's own experience makes the limitation hard to dismiss. In 2023, the company announced that its AI classifier had low accuracy and removed it from availability. The OpenAI announcement about its AI classifier's low accuracy gives marketers a useful standard. If a tool can't reliably classify text, it can't serve as an authorship ruling. The distinction becomes clearer on a store page. Suppose a kitchen appliance brand rewrites a blender comparison after a detector flags it. The revised copy may score differently, yet still fail to state the motor warranty or tested noise level. The team has spent time on the writing question, but the copy still leaves the buying decision unanswered. A return policy creates the same test when a detector flags the wording. Compare e-commerce policies and product claims with the actual fulfillment process and the answers customer support uses. If the page promises free return shipping, but checkout charges a fee, the problem is in the business information. Teams waste hours rewriting content to lower a detector score. Shoppers are looking for a missing warranty term or an unsupported performance claim. That work can make pros look less familiar to a classifier while leaving the page harder for a person to use. Separate the two jobs. First, confirm that every customer-facing statement matches the store's records and current process. Then, check whether the page gives a skeptical reader enough authorship context, such as a reviewer's role or the basis for a test result. A blender comparison should state how noise was measured and which warranty covers the motor. A return page should match the policy customers receive after checkout. Those facts give a buyer something solid to assess, regardless of what a detector estimates. Record a detector result as a prompt for review, never as a verdict. Content that survives scrutiny is built around accurate product information and visible responsibility for the claims. How false suspicion spreads through e-commerce content after OpenAI withdrew its classifier. OpenAI withdrew its AI classifier on July 20, 2023, after reporting low accuracy, especially with short text. The OpenAI announcement about withdrawing the AI classifier gave store owners a useful warning. One questionable label can spread fast. A doubtful result on a buying guide rarely stays isolated. It can carry into the matching product page. Then it can reach the size guidance when the fit advice sounds different. The hesitation can also extend to a shipping explanation when the wording feels as if it came from another business. Inconsistent product facts create stronger suspicion than plain writing. A generic sentence about softness gives a shopper little to inspect. But conflicting care instructions offer a concrete reason to pause before checkout. The cause usually sits inside the publishing process. Several freelancers describe the same item from different briefs. And then a new producer adds a material name or shipping promise that nobody at the business approved. A polished rewrite can hide the conflict for a while. Still, a shopper comparing two pages will find it. Consider a cashmere cardigan with a hand wash instruction on its care page and a machine wash claim in a seasonal gift guide. The shopper has to decide which statement governs a $180 purchase. The brand has created that doubt without any detector involved. The fastest accuracy review starts outside the draft itself. Compare the product page with the return policy and fulfillment record. Then, check the support response used when customers ask about care or delivery. Correct each conflict before anyone spends time improving sentence rhythm. That sequence gives a lean e-commerce team a sensible response to an AI content concern. The editor pauses the style pass. The product owner confirms the approved fact. And the support lead checks whether customers have received a different answer. One verified decision can then update several pages. Most stores find that factual consistency earns more confidence than literary polish. A buyer can forgive a sentence that sounds ordinary. Conflicting instructions make the entire catalog harder to trust. Why answer engines make brand inaccuracies more visible? Answer engines raise the cost of inconsistent e-commerce content. They compress information from several pages into one short response. Google describes AI overviews as AI-generated snapshots with supporting links in search. So, a shopper may encounter a summary before opening the store's page. That first impression is assembled elsewhere. Agreement across source material matters more. Answer systems reward consistent facts across the pages they read. When a buying guide and a label disagree, a summary can pair the wrong detail with the correct product name. A mineral sunscreen makes the problem easy to see. The guide says the product is water resistant for 80 minutes. The product label supports only 40 minutes. A shopper asking whether the sunscreen will hold up during a beach trip needs an answer tied to the actual formula and stated application conditions. Skin tone testing also affects the usefulness of that answer. A statement about a white cast should explain which skin tones were considered and how much product was applied. The result depends on coverage and the product itself. A short answer that skips those details can sound settled while giving poor guidance. Concise answers can spread an error farther than a buried paragraph. A wrong claim about water resistance may appear in a search summary or comparison page. Each version sends the buyer back to the same inaccurate source. Use a SKU fact sheet for every priority product. Record approved wording for high-risk claims. The label or technical document that supports each statement. And the page where a customer can verify the detail. Assign an owner to review the record when the formula changes. The sheet should settle the water resistance duration and provide the required application guidance based on tested conditions. The public product page can then use the label's language while the buying guide answers the shopper's practical concern in plain English. This review catches problems that a writing quality check can't see. A clean sentence about 80-minute protection still damages trust when the package says 40 minutes. The evidence gap behind polished brand content. The detector controversy matters. Polished language can pull attention away from missing proof. Trustworthy brand content needs a clear path from each important statement to the record supporting it. Every important brand claim needs a visible path back to evidence. Made with responsible materials becomes useful when the brand names the material and identifies the standard. Then explains how the claim was checked. A running shoe brand can make a recycled foam claim concrete by citing the foam supplier's certification and. To learn more, visit heysprite.com today.